I've been thinking about the Epstein files and what to me is the most depressing aspect of this whole Epstein debacle. Well, aside from the horrific abuse of children, of course. And it's the fact that here in the US we have not seen any adequate consequences for all of these super rich, super powerful people who clearly associated with Epstein. And it's not just he said, she said allegations from an FBI tip line either. There's fucking emails from Elon Musk asking Epstein, can I please go to your island? Make me feel included. Jeffrey Epstein is on tape talking about meeting Peter Thiel. Epstein himself has written emails saying that Trump has spent hours at his place alone in a room with a victim. It doesn't take a whole lot of imagination to figure out what the fuck was going on there. And yet when faced with all of this information about incredibly powerful and wealthy people in this country, up to and including our sitting fucking president, the public, the media, and Congress alike are just like, okay. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm not saying the Epstein files haven't been a major story, and there hasn't been any major coverage of it, but I feel the level of outrage isn't anywhere near where it should be. Like, compare Watergate to this, and the firestorm that ensued after that, when in reality, Watergate was just Nixon's re-election committee, illegally spying on and wiretapping Democrats at, well, the Watergate Hotel. I don't think Nixon himself was ever even directly implicated beyond him knowing about this and not doing anything. But regardless, we all know that that completely sunk him and led to his resignation in disgrace. And had he not resigned, he would have been impeached. Now, obviously I'm not saying that Watergate wasn't bad, but let's be real here. It is such small potatoes compared to this. Our sitting president had a multiple decades long relationship with someone who has to be the most prolific child sex trafficker in at least modern history. And the absolute best case scenario is Trump did know about these horrific crimes and just didn't give a shit. And of course, there is also the worst case scenario where he was actively participating in these crimes. Whichever way you slice and dice this, Trump looks absolutely horrible and guilty as shit. Otherwise, why the fuck was he kicking and screaming the entire time when people, including a lot of his most loyal supporters, were demanding for the release of these files? That's not very indicative of the behavior of an innocent man to me. And yet there is no firestorm, no backlash comparable to what Nixon received. I mean, yeah, people are mad, but what have we seen so far that even resembles consequences for these people? We have seen absolutely no action be taken over the billionaires and other powerful people in this country who provably had serious connections to Epstein and had an ongoing relationship with him. Kash Patel gets to commit perjury and lie under oath saying complete fucking bullshit like Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic young women to anyone but himself, when these millions of documents that have dropped, that still aren't the full files by the way, prove that to be demonstrably false. Nope, no consequences. I saw some of Pam Bondi's hearing the other week. I couldn't stomach sitting through the full 5 or 6 hours or however long that hearing was. Forgive me, I'd wish to retain at least some of my sanity. But I at least saw enough to get a gist of it. The whole time it was pretty much just her squawking, "You're all Trump haters. The Dow is up, the economy is booming, record-breaking employment." All untrue, but whatever. I am so used to at this point Trump and his sycophants just shamelessly lying. But she is just throwing any shit at the wall, hoping to deflect from the fact that Trump is heavily implicated in these files, hoping something, anything sticks, and also trying to deflect from the erroneous redactions that protect the perpetrators and not the victims, and the fact that all of the files have still not been released, in spite of the DOJ saying, oh, we're done, we did our part. And it's just all a fucking show, an incredibly frustrating show. Because is Pam Bondi going to face any adequate consequences for how she acted in this hearing, and covering up for child sex abusers? Probably not, because this is just how this fucking country is. We have seen ex-prime ministers, I think, and other powerful political figures in other countries get arrested and investigated over their associations with Epstein. Prince Andrew in the UK, or ex-prince I should say, was arrested recently. Now, he was released shortly after, so we'll see if anything unfolds after that. But has anyone seen that photo of him in the police car the day he got arrested? I'm might flash it on screen if you haven't. I love that photo because of how fucking shell-shocked he looks in it. Jesus Christ. That look just screams, I never thought this day would come. Repercussions for my actions. And this is probably the first time he has faced any kind of repercussions for his actions. Because he was the prince in a monarchy that frankly shouldn't even fucking exist anymore. He was probably one of the most privileged assholes you can think of. Now, you might say, it's still not enough, given that he's not in custody anymore, and I'm inclined to agree, but looking from afar at these other countries that are at the very least doing something makes me think about just how nakedly corrupt the justice system in this country is. You could be heavily implicated in the files of, again, a prolific child sex trafficker, and have provably close ties to him, but if you have accrued enough money and power, it doesn't matter. Trump himself, not even just for the Epstein shit, has more than proven how broken our justice system is, and how biased it is, in favor of the super wealthy and powerful. You can try to rig an election you lost fair and square, incite an insurrection because said election didn't go your way. You can be a convicted felon with 34 counts of felony charges under your belt. You can be a convicted rapist who can have close associations with a child sex trafficker, and the files pertaining to said child sex trafficker can heavily implicate you as someone who took part in those horrific crimes against children, and God fucking knows what those remaining files contain. What information are you hiding, DOJ? But anyway, you can do all of this and you can still get to be the president. It just goes to show how morally bankrupt and captured by capital this country is. It's sickening. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.